Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. What's going on, everybody? Oh, good Lord. Finally got a stream live. Finally got a stream. Let's go, Luffy D. How do I properly say Luffy D Yami? Is that what are you a descendant from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Original series? Are you a descendant of Yami? Tell me, Luffy. What's going on, everybody? Man, there has been, dude, it's so crazy. So, dude, here's what sucks about being me, especially on YouTube, is like YouTube wants content creators and people to like pick a lane and stay in that lane. I don't have a lane. And that's my problem. I got blessed with the everything-tism, which is like, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in that, I'm going to learn about this, I'm going to learn about... So I like talking about everything. The news is absolutely insane this week, and there's so much to freaking talk about. And then I hear that apparently Colbert decided to pull an Eminem and say that the FTC won't let him be, you know, him, so, you know, let's just see. And turns out the whole thing was a lie. It was just a scam, and I don't even know if I want to talk about that because I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. But so I pulled up some stories tonight that I think are interesting. I pulled up some stuff that you guys recommended in the Discord, and it's just it's so crazy. So I pulled up some fun stories because Monday's stream was really heavy with a couple of topics, and I was like, I cannot do like heavy stuff tonight. So let's have some fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start off with a prayer, and I am going to selfishly ask for prayers tonight for my Nana. My Nana just passed away. And funeral arrangements are being made for next week. I don't think I will be able to attend the funeral, sadly. I live multiple states away, and also in the position that I am in at work, I have to facilitate a few things the days of the funeral. So if all of you would please say a prayer for my Nana tonight during this prayer, that's where I'm going to dedicate this prayer to. Let's get started off for the evening. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Yeah, I still actually, I was not close with that side of my family as my mother's parents. I was not close with that side. However, I do still have a teddy bear, like a big teddy bear, a big black brown teddy bear. It's, you know, that I saw at an auction. We went to the auction with my brother and I and one of my aunts, and you know, we went to auction with Nana one day, and I really love this teddy bear and I wanted it, and it was just a no, we're not going to do it. And I don't know how, but I found out years later, because all of a sudden Nana comes home with this teddy bear, and I'm just in love. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is cool. I call him Papa Bear, right? I used to actually have a teddy bear for every member of my family up until my parents' 7th grandchild, because I used to have a bear I used to have a teddy bear. Just when I was a kid, I was like, I just thought it was cool. I was like, no, I've got a bear and each of these bears represents a member of my family. And I found out years later it was my brother who convinced my Nana to buy this bear at the auction for me. And I still have it here, and my kids still have it now today. So that is a fond memory that I have. And so thank you all so much for the prayers for my Nana. Yeah, it's my mom is going to go out to the funeral in the next week. And yeah, but so is life, you know, as you get older, The older that you get, the more and more people that you know pass away, and that's just the cycle of life. And that's why, you know, we do our best to try to leave behind the best that we can, the best knowledge that we can impart into our children, the best faith that we can impart into our children, and carry on into the future, because you're never truly gone when those memories exist. And I love that, and that is a sentiment that I do love. And with all of that being said, thank you all so much. And tonight we're going to get into so many different things. So many different things. Catch the replay. I hope you watched the video I shared today. I did see that you did share a video. I probably won't get to that one today. That's probably going to be a Monday video. But we'll see. We'll see. If I man up and get into the stamina and decide that I'm going to stream for a longer period of time, I probably will. Creative Welshman, thank you all so much. Mario Trujillo, thank you so much. May perpetual light shine down on your Nana, and may she rest in peace. Thank you. Xavier Guzman, amen. At least Nana is in a better place than this damn crazy world of ours. Kind of jealous, actually. Can't wait. Yeah, and I believe that my Nana is... That's a whole religious thing, but yeah. But no, thank you all so much for being here. So, without any further ado, let's get into this. Okay, High Guard. Have you guys in the gaming space heard about High Guard? This is absolutely hilarious to me. I had to bring this up because, and I've not talked about High Guard a lot because it's like, oh, typical game studio, thought that they were special, thought that everybody was going to love them. Turns out they just turned out a middle of the road, you know, not so awesome game. And in today's economy, you need to be awesome or you're nothing. That's just how it is. That's just how the market works. And so this story is absolutely hilarious. Over on a website that I do not go to very often, but I found the story from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. As Highgar's website goes dark, a report emerges that the not-so-indie shooter was funded by Tencent. Is that a bathroom selfie for the writer of the article? You know what? We live in 2026. It's fine. It's fine. If you got bathroom selfies for your article. Anyway, Highguard is in a bit of a Schrodinger's cat situation. This is because at the time of writing, the official site only shows the shooter's logo. Yeah, the website went down. Turns out when you fire everybody, the website goes down. The game looked bad. Yeah, it did. So website goes down. This site is currently unavailable. Please contact support for assistance. Alongside links to the official Discord server and Twitter page. This, of course, could just be a blip, but even as I'm writing, it's been the case for several hours. There's not a single word from the developers of Wildlight about its site down. So it's both dead and not dead until someone opens the box. Oh my gosh, you know what? I like this. I like the cut of the jib of this writer. As old-timey speaks goes, I like the cut of her jib. I don't know what that means. I kind of know what that means. Cut of a jib. Where does that come from? I'm going to look that up now. Damn it. Okay. Chat, we have homework. Go look up the definitions. Why? What is the old-timey phrase? The cut of someone's jib. Where does that come from? Anyway, moving on. This obviously isn't an immediate confirmation that the game is shutting down. No, the immediate confirmation that the game was shutting down was the fact that they fired everybody because it freaking... Yeah, anyway. But given last week, most of the team was apparently laid off. Yeah, fired. Let's be... I did hear that they got some severance packages, though. There's certainly reason to question whether this is that famed writing on the wall you so often hear about. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. They're actually using. Oh, okay. They're actually writing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. They're using higher than a third grade language that I'm used to use. So I actually have to turn my brain on to see exactly how they're going to go. Cool. Awesome. The silence from Wildlight, both in the game's Discord and the social pages, certainly adds to the writing, kind of like the silence after the Game Awards. Parallel to all this, reports emerged from GameFile that sheds a tidbit of light on how Highguard came to be. Namely, the game was predominantly funded by Tencent. It's been unknown up to this point just who funded the game, giving Wildlight's proud proclamation of independence. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I wanted to talk about. Not only did this game come out, and like, was it even mid? I've heard it's mid. I've heard it's just mid as fuck. Basically, it's middle of the road. It is yet another game. And they claimed that they were just a scrappy team of 100 developers that worked for like however many years on this game and totally independent. And I was like, wow, man, they saying 100 people? 100 people working for multiple years on a game. Man, you guys must have had some serious severance packages from when the guys left, like Apex Legends and Titanfall and all that stuff. You guys must have had some good money in your pockets. No. It turns out they weren't independent at all because they took money from somebody to get their game developed. Now, I have talked about this in the past, but I think that this is very important. As the gaming landscape is opening up to more and more developers and independents and so on, I think that we need to strongly consider adding some separation, because people are like, well, what is independent? All right. Here is where I am at when it comes to an independent game. If you take money from somebody else during the game's development or to finish the game, you are not independent. That's why I argued Expedition 33 was not independent. And then the people get mad. They go, no. And I'm like, stop, hold on. However, we do have in our current nomenclature the AAA, which means big money, big dollars, huge company. We have the AA, which means like medium money, medium dollars, good game. But I argue we should also talk about single A games, which is what I think Expedition 33 is. What is a single A? It's low budget, higher quality, right? Low budget, it's got a team of people. It's not quite indie because, again, Expedition 33 definitely took money. They did take money from Kepler to keep going. And they were like, wow, when they took the money from Kepler, there was 90% done. But they still took the money, which means they're no longer financially independent. And so, that being said, I think we need to change the nomenclatures a little bit and say that, well, an independent studio is one that operates solely off of their own creative and their own financials in order to get the game completed. If you take money in the financials, depending on how much money that is, well, as that money gets to a certain point, you could go from a single A to a AA to a AAA, just depending. I don't think that but for some reason, we don't want to advance our language. We want to keep dumbing it down. We want to keep, like, no, because again, and everybody's like, well, I feel independent. I'm sorry, the dictionary disagrees with you, right? You go, well, Royce, when was the last time you picked up a dictionary? Like a week ago with my kids. And actually, I still look up definitions all the time. You guys have seen me do it. So, all of that being said, when Expedition 33 came out and they finally, right before the Game Awards, said, we made this game for less than $10 million. Everybody was like, what? They were a small, scrappy team working as hard as they could for the longest time, but they needed that extra to get over the finish line. They took the money. They are no longer an independent studio, but also they didn't spend the money that would make them a AA or a AAA studio. Therefore, I would say, hey, they're a single A. They got 1A. They got a single A. They're a single A studio, and they made Game of the Year, which rightfully so. And they won everything that they really should have. But also, Highguard comes out, and they're like, we were just a scrappy independent studio. That took a shit ton of money from Tencent. That is not independent. You paid 100 people for multiple years worth of work on a mid-ass game. And here's the thing, the game was in development when Concord failed. And Highguard, you guys didn't like about face there? This is hilarious to me. Just the hubris. And they're just like, no, we were totally independent. Also, we were funded by that. You're not independent if you're funded by somebody else. If you take money from somebody else, you're not independent. I was talking with my buddy about this, right? And he's like, well, Larian Studios is independent. And I'm like, and in the argument, I didn't bring up that they were also, partially owned by Tencent. But he was like, well, Baldur's Gate 3 is more independent than Expedition 33. And I was like, no, it wasn't. And my buddy is like, excuse me? I was like, hold on. Baldur's Gate 3, that is a Dungeons and Dragons property. That is a Dungeons and Dragons intellectual property, and Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast had their say over Baldur's Gate 3, which means that they are not creatively independent. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this question. Chat down below. Do you think, and if you're watching the VOD, do you think that my definition of independent, you need to be creatively independent and you need to be financially independent? To be independent, if you're financially independent, but you're still kind of taken, like you have to follow the rules of the guidelines of the IP that you're working with, I would say you're not independent. If you're following your own creative guidelines, like we're making this super awesome game, but somebody is also funding you, I would say not independent. Now, depending on the dollary due amounts, right? Because you might have some dollary dues there. Where did I hear that? Anyway, the dollars that you're spending, that could either place you into a single A, a double A, or a triple A space. I don't know what my hands are doing at this point. But the fact that Highguard came out and they're like, we were just an independent, scrappy team. You're not fucking independent. You took money from Tencent, reports say. And then on top of that, you had that one developer who came out and just did the woe is me post, and and none of the gamers gave it a chance. Dude, there is an estimated 1 million downloads on day one of Highguard coming out. 1 million downloads. And you're telling me you guys, out of 1 million people signing up to play your game day one, you weren't able to keep any of those people? I'm sorry, and this is a terminology that I absolutely, you are believing your own hype. And here's what I will say to you. You're not Vegeta. Don't believe your own hype. I need to get my Vegeta hung up. Where is my Vegeta? Is it still on the wall? You're not Vegeta. You're not the hype. Stop it. For those of you who get that reference, thank you. But no, seriously. What? You watched games fail. You watched the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League fail. You watched Concord fail. There have been how many live services that have absolutely tanked, and you guys are like, we're gonna be this is the greatest game on the planet. And that developer was like, everybody told us that we were the greatest and we weren't gonna fail, and it was just the gamers. The gamers just didn't give us a chance. The stupid gamers. It's just like, yeah, bitch. You want gamers to give you money. I was like, well, it's a free to download game with microtransactions. How come gamers, which by the way, gamers love spending money on microtransactions. I actually think that is a problem in our society. I think that people are willing to spend money too easily. I think the only game that I've ever bought microtransactions on was Pokemon Go. And it was because I was out of fucking Pokeballs and I was in a fucking hotel room and I couldn't get more Pokeballs. My wife's like, babe, just spend the $10 to get more Pokeballs. I was like, fine, thank you. And actually, occasionally, I will say this, we'll still boot up Pokemon Go and do all the updates and stuff, and we'll still walk around town with the kids and play Pokemon Go. Super fun family activity. Like, it's really fun. But yeah, again, stop coming out. Like, you lied to people. You said you were independent, and reports are coming out. You probably weren't. Now, if these reports are accurate, that's okay. If you self-funded, you were independent. If you did not self-fund, you're not independent. And honestly, I love what this person said here. They're like, yeah, it's like the Schrodinger's cat of video games. You know, is it dead or is it not dead? Well, we won't know until we open the box. I honestly think that Highguard is probably dead. Now, there is always room for them to run a skeleton crew and go, okay, we need to fix our game, or we need to do that fire stuff that we were going to do that we never did. And they come out and they have a comeback story. And I was telling my buddy this, and it's actually part of the reason that Marathon is now catching my attention. The one thing that people love more than to see something fail is to see a redemption story, right? Cyberpunk 2077, the space game. Why do I always forget the space game's name? Anyway, Space Game came out, totally sucked. Now Space Game, super awesome. No Man's Sky, figured it out. I remember. I'm horrible with names. God, I'm horrible with names. I would forget my own children's names if I didn't name them. I still sometimes forget their names. You're a parent. You've been there. You look at a child, they're doing something dumb. You're like, thing one, now, fuck, thing two, now, damn it. Thing three, thing four. And they're like, I'm not thing four, I'm actually thing two. I'm like, I said thing two. Why didn't you respond when I said it? And the kids are like, why are you yelling at me? I'm like, because you left the stove on and it's smoking. And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, how did you not notice? Anyway, moving back to Highguard, you guys understand. I forget names. That was that whole diatribe. But the fact that this game came out with servers not being tested, crashing constantly, giving no gameplay that was compelling to the players, giving absolutely bland-ass looking characters. Reports are coming out that they didn't even have time to work on character designs. And then to say that they were a scrappy, small, independent team that was funded by Tencent, you guys deserve to fail. And here's why. If you're willing to lie to your potential customers, you're willing to fail, and you deserve it. You deserve it. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to your customers, your potential customers. We've been lied to before. A lot of people spent the money, and we're tired of spending money on lies. So if for some reason you guys have not been laughed out of the industry, well, I'll give you kudos for that. You come out, you say, we screwed up, we're going to fix it, or we're going to move on to a new game and we're going to come back from this. We're going to be the Phoenix rising from the ashes. If you guys do that, good for you. But don't lie to your customers. Don't call yourself an independent studio when you're taking money from one of the largest conglomerates on the planet. If you are willing to lie to us, then you're willing to suffer the consequences. And honestly, that's how I feel about this entire Highguard situation. It just baffles me that people think that they can lie to their potential customer base and get away from it. But that's just what I think. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments down below in the VOD. And because you're not here with me in the chat right now, you should totally be here with me in the chat right now on Mondays and Thursdays. We're on YouTube. I stream on this channel. Subscribe. Share the videos. If you like what I'm saying, share this to a bunch of people because YouTube loves it when you share it. And so, all of that being said, let's go over to the chat. What's going on, chat? Oh, goodness Lord. Is Schrodinger. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my lovely wife tuned in. That was her. Oh, man. Catch you later, Creative Welshman. Oh, I did not. I totally missed these. Say good night. Good night, Creative Welshman. I love the High Guard debacle. Dude, the High Guard debacle is interesting. It's not quite Concord levels. It's not. I know there was a lot that went into Concord, and I don't like a lot of people calling it, but Concord was such a unique situation that nothing will ever be that bad. Luffy D Yami says game looked bad. LOL. It did not look compelling. I didn't think the art. I thought the gunplay looked decent, but I heard if you actually played the game, you didn't get a chance to experience the gunplay a lot. That's why Marathon actually has kind of turned me around on. Like, I will say this, dude. Bungie has a lock on gunplay. I'm seeing what they're doing with Marathon now, and I've wishlisted it on Steam because I'm just like, maybe. I'm not saying it's going to be compelling. Well, basically, my buddy is like, he's like, I'm going to check it out, but they're also doing a server stress test in a few weekends. So me, my buddy, and my wife are going to play Marathon and see if it's something we could jam with. Because I love games that I like to call locker room games, right? You get the boys together, you're all playing together, you say some shit, and then, you have a good time and you go to bed. I love locker room games like that. They're great. Mario Trujillo, China. Oh God, the website logo says PC gaming since 1873. Fuck. I didn't know they had PCs back. Oh my gosh. My wife says, is Schrodinger in the room with us? Isn't that old English? I don't know. Oh my goodness. And my wife looked it up. An idiom referring to a person's general appearance, manner, style, or personality. Thank you, my lovely wife. The jib thing is how you carry yourself. It's kind of common saying in the Army. There you go. Don't hurt yourself, Royce. Your brain has been on sleep mode for a long time. It is not. It has not been on sleep mode for a long time. Recently, there's just been a lot of stuff going on at work, and so that just, when you have to use the thinky think stuff at work, I have tried to develop the program at work so that way I don't have to constantly do the thinky think stuff at work. There are things that can kind of be in place that are already set. Because here's the thing is, if you're constantly doing that in your day job and you're constantly like on point all the time up here, that does get mentally taxing. And what that does is that means when you actually have to turn it on and do a thing, you may not be on point. And so what I try to do is I try to make sure that when I don't have to be on point, my brain can kind of just relax. I can look into things. I can do some research, do some light research on stuff to help my guys in the safety program and all that. But this last month or two it's just been thinky think stuff at work all the time where I have to be on point all the time. And so when I get to you guys, I'm not on point. I'm on round. And we don't be on round. That's just, don't do that. Roy says, well, actually, dude, with a low level of cringe mostly. Fuck you. I'm not actually. I don't even have glasses. Oh, true. I can agree with that. Thank you. Why is Royce impersonating Newscomb with his hands? Fuck. Hey. That's an insult. That's an insult. I've been asked before if I'm Italian, and I'm like, why? And they're like, because you talk with your hands. Hey, Royce, if I called your mom or dad and asked them if you ever did anything stupid, like, say, leave an oven on, what would they say? I'm sure my mom and dad have some stories about me doing something dumb. I'm sure they do. Like, yeah. Leaving the oven on, probably, no, not that one. I'm sure if you called my parents and asked them if I did something dumb, yeah, especially my dad. He'd probably laugh his ass off while he told you the story too, of course. Destiny gunplay is GOAT even on console. Dude, Destiny, I'm sorry, Bungie has a lock on gunplay. It is so good. And I'm kind of hoping that the marathon story is a redemption story because it's looking good. And I was very negative on that, but yeah, we'll see. As a Christian, I don't believe in karma, but I do believe God has a twisted sense of humor. Oh, goodness. Potentially, yes. We're not all quite sure, but yes. So, no, it's so interesting to see just so many of these stories. However, one of the stories that I'm very, very excited. I'd love to hear what your older brothers have to say about getting you to do something goofy when you were a wee lad. I don't know. My household was a little different. And I don't know. Like I said, my household was a little bit different, a little bit redneck, a little bit white trash. My brothers and my dad may or may not have fought each other on the front lawn at some point in my life. Like, not fucking joking. Yeah, there's a lot of family history there. I don't know. If my brothers would have any stories like that. They might. My one older brother probably not, because my one older brother probably wouldn't. I think they would probably just try to get me to say some goofy shit. Like, hey, you're a little kid and it's funny for teenagers to make a little kid say some goofy stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to call them and ask. I'm sure they have stories. Of course, everybody's probably got some stories. Right? So, what's going on, Jersey James? So, moving on from the High Guard story, this is a story that I am very, very interested in. And ladies and gentlemen, this website is bright. I am actually looking forward to this game. I'm probably going to buy it, and probably means, yeah, I'm pretty much going to buy it. But this is going to be absolutely epic. Ladies and gentlemen, not a game of the year, but probably a game of the year contender, Crimson Desert. This is from Push Square. Never heard of this website. Don't expect Crimson Desert to be easy. PS5 open world or won't have difficulty options at launch. It's also available on Steam and everywhere else. Crimson Desert will not have a journalist mode. It's just going to have the game. Raise hell, praise Dale. Raise hell, praise Dale. Oh! No journalists. Journalists will not be happy with this game because they're not going to offer a journalist mode. Boy, howdy, let's go into this. It's starting to sound like Crimson Desert will offer up a stern challenge when it launches on PS5 next month. Okay. They're that Push Square. Got it. You're a PlayStation play. Also, it's on Steam. Also, it's on a bunch of other places. I don't have PS5. There's still plenty of questions surrounding the hugely ambitious open world title, but the developer Pearl Abyss is at least starting to answer some of the bigger ones. Case in point, marketing PR director Will Powers took to the Drop Frames podcast over the weekend, as per Games Radar, in a bid to clear up the title's 3 points. Actually, Will Powers, man, he's making the podcast circuit. Like, he's not just been on one. He's been doing a bunch. I've seen him pop up in a few of the places. And I think that he is doing a very, very good job. Straight up, and one of the ones I was watching, a guy that I watched was interviewing the PR guy for Pearl Abyss who's talking about Crimson Desert. And the interviewer, being Luke Stevens, is like, hey, by the way, if I ask a question or something that you can't answer, he's like, it's just so you know, it's totally fine for you to say, I can't answer that or I need to. And Will Powers, like a fucking G, just goes, I'm going to answer every question that I'm allowed to. And he goes, but I will never not. And he goes, and if there's a question that I can't, he's like, if I have to talk around it, I will. But that's just my job. If I have to talk around the answer, I will talk around the answer. He's like, but I will never just say, no, I can't answer that. He's like, but and he was like, but just so you know, if there are answers I can't answer, he's like, I'll just talk around them and just do the best that I can. And I'm like, wait, he just said it. Like Luke Stevens, the interviewer, was like, hey, if you can't answer questions, totally fine to say I can't answer. He's like, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to give an entertaining answer to the audience. I'm not just going to say, no, I can't answer. I'm going to give an entertaining answer to the audience. And if I have to talk around some stuff that I'm not legally allowed to answer, and I'm like, holy crap. Wait, dude, I think an angel cried the day that a PR guy was honest with us about how he has to conduct his answers. I think an angel cried. An angel might have been born that day. That's like a lawyer saying he's going to be honest. It's so crazy. So anyway, it was all right. So anyway, all right. When asked about difficulty specifically, Powers reiterated that Crimson Desert is not a Souls-like, something that the developer has stated. That I am so fucking tired of hearing Souls-like people. Anybody who's like, oh, it's a Souls-like, and I look at it, I'm like, it's not a Souls-like. You didn't play video games before 2010. Most things that people refer to as a Souls-like legitimately have this same combat that Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time had. Talked with my friends about this extensively. It's bugging stupid. They haven't played games before 2010. They were not there in the before times. Anyway. However, he quickly adds, does that mean the game's easy? Hell no. The way Powers describes it, Crimson Desert is going for a kind of open world design. This is similar to Elden Ring, but again, without the typical Souls-like level of difficulty. That is, players will be encouraged to back away from any foes that are simply too powerful and explore the locations instead until they're strong enough to survive the clash. Oh my good. Wait. Which means you actually have to play the game and go get powerful. That is how you entice exploration. It's like, I'm fighting this guy. He's way too powerful. He's bodying me. I'm going to go explore and then come back later. And then I am going to teabag the shit out of the dead boss that I just beat. You can just leave. You can do something else. You can upgrade weapons. You can do side questing. You can find different things in order to make the fight easier for you. He explains, a difficulty level is not required. You know what's required to play video games, ladies and gentlemen? Thinking. Thinking is required to play video games. Overcoming the obstacle. Overcoming the puzzle. I don't know. Becoming somebody who can... It's something that the modern worker in America is not familiar with. It's called problem solving, right? And that's what gaming used to be, was problem solving. Hey, there's a problem in front of you. Fucking figure out how to do it. And sometimes it was cheesing it, and I'm going to hide behind this rock and just shoot this guy with 120, arrows that do 1.5 damage until the boss just goes away. And sometimes it was like, no, I'm going to walk into this boss fight and I'm going to be overpowered as fuck and I'm going to trivialize it, And sometimes, problem solving is, putting down the controller, realizing that you're inadequate to actually play video games, call your girlfriend, cry to her, have her break up with you, call your mom, cry to your mother. Your mother's going to tell you, sweetheart, stop crying over video games. Please, for the love of God, get out of my basement, go get a real fucking job, do something with your life. And just for the love of all that's holy, please figure out how to deal with your own shit instead of just trying to find a difficulty slider in a video game. Is that, did I make that clear? Did I make that clear? The way to make video games easy, ladies and gentlemen, is to think, is to use your brain, to problem solve. You know that thing that school tried to get you to do? You're like, school's stupid, I don't need to do that. Yeah. Problem solve, and you'll be able to beat any video game in front of you. Because, apparently, Crimson Desert is not going to have a journalist mode. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, thank you guys. If you're watching the VOD, I appreciate you guys watching the VOD. You should join me on Mondays and Thursdays with the live chat. The live chat's already heard this already. but you haven't heard this because you're only watching the VOD and you're not here on Mondays and Thursdays. Chat, you've got to tell them. You got to comment when I put the VOD up. Hey, you need to be in chat because we have fun. We have fun in the chat. Chat, what say you? What say you? My baby brother's 13 years younger, and my older brother and I used to use him as a football all the time. I tossed him around. Oh, that's funny. That's very funny. Good. He said the quiet part out loud. Shh, don't say the quiet part out loud. What did I say out loud? That what makes strategy games different. We only solve problems. I will say this. I am definitely not into a lot of strategy games. I am definitely not into a ton of strategy games myself. Predominantly games like StarCraft and things like that. Just like I don't mind games like that, but in order to be proficient with those, it is a time commitment. It is a time commitment to be good at games like StarCraft 2 and things like that. So, yeah, strategy games I don't usually get into a ton. Like one of the games that I kind of brag about that I had no choice but to get good at. So my disc that I had for Need for Speed Underground back in the day, and actually the disc I have now does it. It actually does it worse though. So I wonder if there wasn't a coding issue. But Need for Speed Underground had this thing. You'd be driving and all of a sudden the road would disappear, barriers would disappear, and only a couple of parts of the map. And it just looked like you were just driving on this glass that was just reflecting the sky. It was really weird. And for some reason, Need for Speed Underground on the original Xbox does this. And it does it actually, it's got to be a memory leak or something like that in the game. I don't actually know why it does this. But the maps would just disappear on me. And instead of quitting the game and going, well, I just can't, the maps just would disappear. I beat the game with no maps. Like the map would just disappear, but because I literally had to imprint in my brain all of the things that would just disappear on the map that I could crash into still. My cousin came over to my house. He's the one who introduced me into Need for Speed Underground. And I was like, hey cousin. I was like, you want to play some Need for Speed Underground? And he's like, oh dude, yeah. I was like, I'm totally going to beat you at this. I'm like, no, you're not. And I was like arrogant. And he was like, dude, I want to play with you, but I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to beat me. Because his game didn't disappear the maps like my game did. I don't know why. There's got to be a problem. There's got to be a memory issue on a certain amount of the discs. Because I've had 2 discs for Need for Speed Underground, and both of them have done this. So, go downstairs. We go to play. I let my cousin set up his car exactly how he wants to do it because I had everything unlocked. We go to load in. We take off. We take off. We're kind of neck and neck. Map disappears. All of a sudden, my cousin's like, what the... Hits a wall. I zoom around him and keep going. And he's like, he's sitting there. He's looking at my screen and I'm dry. And he's like, how are you doing that? And I have memorized every one of these maps in my head. There is not a single track in this game that I do not have memorized. And my cousin's just like, I'm not playing you anymore. I was like, at least finish this race. He finished the one race with me of 4 laps and he goes, that is ridiculous. I was like, I beat the game on hard like this. I was also in middle school, so I had a lot of time. Use your brain. Well, I guess you like working with a handicap race. Fuck you. Oh, you make it easy sometimes. What the? Why do you gotta be like that? Try to have fun with you guys. You're like, oh, her, laugh at the drunk redneck. I'm not even drunk yet. Drunk makes me tired. Whenever I get drunk, I'm just tired. I just want to go to bed. Oh man. Ugh. I'm having way too much fun tonight. Way too much fun tonight. Ugh. I'm assuming that I have not been compelling to the people. At one point, we were at almost like 9 peoples in the chat, and then they all disappeared. People jumped in. They were like, oh, fuck this. We don't want to hear him rant. See, and I have no idea what types of chats you guys want to hear. Moving on. So apparently, former Prince Andrew was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Interesting. My God, that guy just man. Oh, that's just that's just a face you want to put on a coffee mug, isn't it? Wow. Gosh. Former Prince Andrew Windsor, we're just going to go. Former Prince Andrew has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. King Charles III reacted to his brother's arrest in a statement issued by Buckingham Palace. I've learned with the deepest concern the news about Andrew. Yeah, you just learned it now. Fuck off. You probably knew about this. And suspicion of misconduct in public office, the king said. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I have said before, they have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. I mean, sounds good. Are you guys actually going to follow through with this? As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all, he added. All right, so the king is like, yeah, my brother did some stuff. You should definitely make sure that he is sent to the law. Thames Valley Police arrested Andrew early Thursday morning of suspicion, misconduct in public office, and he's in custody. He turned 66 on Thursday. Oh boy, that's an interesting number. Police are carrying out searches at the addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. He has yet to be charged with any wrongdoing. He can be held for a maximum of 96 hours before being charged and released. Okay, so he's just, misconduct in public office is the offense and abuse and neglect of power and responsibilities by so, Okay, so Prince Andrew gets arrested. Supposedly the Epstein files say that he's in there. And a lot of people are like, why can't America do this? Why aren't you guys arresting anybody? I'm going to be honest, unless I see this guy actually serve time, I think it's all for show. I am so demoralized at this point with all of the Epstein file stuff that I genuinely don't know if I'm allowed to share my full thoughts on YouTube. But here's where I am at. Based off of how the Trump administration has been at handling the Epstein files and all of the obfuscation, all of the two-faced bullshit, all of the talking out of both sides of their mouth, I am at this point thinking, and have thought for quite a while, that the Trump administration is protecting child abusers. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's one of those deals. It's just like, you know what, dude, just roll out Chippy. Roll out Chippy. Line the streets of DC with Chippy and say, hey, if you guys really want to keep hiding these child abusers, you can step up to Chippy first. And give the politicians the option. What do you want to do? Do you want to get tossed into Chippy, or do you want to actually do your fucking job and put to death these child abusers? Because I'm sorry, if you're protecting them and hiding their names, you're no better than them. I absolutely believe anybody who abused a child, abused young women, or abused people in this way, took blackmail on others, was a part of this ring, decided to fucking eat people, like some of these files are saying, you deserve capital punishment. And that doesn't mean you're on death row for 20 fucking years. That means once you're convicted, we're going to walk you outside to Chippy. Okay, we'll get a diving board. We'll put it on pay-per-view. Well, I mean, we'll charge money, and then what we'll do is we'll take that money and we'll give that money to the families who have been absolutely destroyed by this crap. What do you think? I think that's how we should do. We need to go Old Testament on this, guys. The fact I don't know if I'm even going to be me personally, I don't think I'm going to be satisfied with these monsters living in prisons with the option to appeal their sentences. We have unequivocal evidence that you did this. People have said that you did this. We know that you did this. There's photo evidence. There's all this other evidence that you did this. You get chippy. We walk you out of the courtroom. We put you into chippy. If the press wants a further comment from you, they can hold it up to the exit of chippy. I'm so demoralized from this. Good. I'm glad that Prince Andrew got arrested. If he is guilty of it, this needs to be taken seriously. We don't need to put him in give him life in prison. We need to seek capital punishment for these people. These are monsters. And some of the things that are being alleged, these are monsters. And capital punishment needs to be distributed. And the fact that the Trump administration, the fact that bobblehead Bondi got up there and they were like, how many people have you even indicted? And she's like, well, the Dow Jones is above 50,000. Bitch, I don't have stock. I don't care. You know what I do have? 4 fucking kids. 3 of them are daughters. And a lot of these young women could very well have been my daughters. So I've got a lot more of a connection to you guys actually put it. I don't give 2 flying fucks about the Dow Jones that's being propped up by AI companies that are going to replace American jobs in the next 5 years. And I have a lot more interest in people who are child abusers getting what's coming to them. To the unrepentant and full extent of the law. This is absolutely disgusting. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm going to go back to the chat because this whole story just pisses me off. You give out baby brother energy. I'm the oldest of my family. It's instinctual to roast you. Yes, I am the baby of the family. Absolutely, I am the baby of the family. Looks like a massive Intel honey operation. I don't know that reference. Intel honey operation. Yeah. Yeah. Intelligence operation. Yeah. I mean, maybe, probably. At this point, I have stacks and I care more about the list than the Dow being above 50. Yeah. Or I have stocks and I care about more. You're a dark here. Yeah. I don't care about the stock market. I don't give 2 shits about the stock market. Child abusers need to be dealt with. And bobblehead Bondi gets up there. Dude, I swear to fuck, the only reason that she was put in her position is because somebody in that administration thinks she looks good. Either that or she does better work under the desk than fucking anybody else who's been there. Monica Lewinsky, that's what I was thinking of. I mean, maybe that's why bobblehead Bondi is there, is because when the bobble decides to head, she does better work than Monica Lewinsky. And don't forget there were young boys on the list. Yep. There weren't numerous, the girls, but they were 2. Yeah. No, I know. And like I said, everybody, I don't care until I see people receiving capital punishment. I just don't care. Considering how their first pick dropped out, they probably had to scramble for a replacement and just went with whatever. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, that was a thing. I don't know. At this point, Bobblehead Bondi is defending child abusers, and she should talk to our good friend Chippy. I'm just saying. If you're going to defend the child abusers, you should be treated like one. Just saying. And the reason that I'm so pissed off is because I voted for Trump 3 fucking times. And he's defending child abusers. What is this? This is from Jock Z Productions. Henry Clay's American System Explained. Okay. This is some history stuff. Chat! We're going to get on some history stuff. This is 7 minutes and 42 second longs. Now, Henry Clay, I'm vaguely familiar with. I feel like I know him tangentially through some other stories. But let's see what this is all about.
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to
Oh my gosh, that's very loud. Holy crap.
Joe's Productions. In this video, we're taking a look at the American system and Henry Clay. Following the War of 18...
Okay, bro, you need to get your gain situation. You have 105,000 subscribers and you can't figure out how to get gain on your fucking microphone turned down?
1912, there was an outpouring of nationalism in the young nation. The U.S. had once again defended its independence from Great Britain.
Yes.
We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our
Dude, you need to roll down your gain.
And as a result, the country was united more so than ever before. In addition, prior to, during, and after the War of 1812, the U.S. was starting to experience something known as the Market Revolution. During the Market Revolution, innovations in textile machinery increased the efficiency of production methods. All of the embargoes that took place prior to the War of 1812 to try to maintain American neutrality meant American manufacturing was beginning to develop. It had to develop, or there would be no manufactured goods in America. You can see in this graphic that by 1840, most of the textile industry was largely concentrated in the northeastern part of the United States. While the South grew cotton, they did not process it. It was largely northern factories that spun and wove raw cotton into cloth, if it wasn't being sent to Britain. And after the War of 1812, Henry Clay came up with a plan to unify the U.S. economy called the American System. The American System was Henry Clay's proposal for renewal of the National Bank, a protective tariff, and internal
Oh, I feel like you know where this is going and I don't like it.
transportation improvements. Tariffs would largely help the Northeast by protecting American manufacturing. The National Bank would aid the economy.
Notice that he said how tariffs would largely protect the Northeast by protecting. So anybody who wants to tell you that the Civil War was over slavery, they're fucking liars. They don't know history. It was economic. The Civil War started economically. But because the sentiments around slavery at the time were changing, it was not until Lincoln addressed the nation with the why can't I think of the name? His fucking slave speech, where he specifically said that the South couldn't have slaves, but specific categories of the, specific areas of the North could still totally have slaves because Lincoln was not an abolitionist at all in any sense of the imagination. But yeah, no, this was an economic. It started over the secession crisis started over the economics and then the lack of representation that they were getting.
Of all parts of the country, and internal transportation improvements would primarily help the growth of the West and South, but would benefit all parts of the country as well. Henry Clay felt the American system would be a huge boost to the entire U.S. economy. Let me get into some of the details. The charter of the Bank of the United States was allowed to expire in 1811. Following the war, many Democratic Republicans began to rethink their opposition to a national bank.
The Republican Party wasn't founded until Lincoln in 18 1862? This would have been the Whig Party. Why are you calling them Republicans? That's not accurate. And obviously you can see how far back the idea of a national bank goes.
Because I want to make bank, bro.
They came to understand that a strong banking system would help the economy prosper and ensure access to easy and abundant credit. And as a result, Congress renewed the Bank of the United States in 1816. While the bank was generally accepted by many Democratic Republicans, not everyone was.
The Republicans didn't exist. I don't like that he's calling them Republicans. I'm just going to have to get over that. Okay.
Was as enthusiastic about the Tariff of 1816. The Tariff of 1816 was the first time a tariff was passed primarily for protection, not just to raise revenue. The purpose of the tariff was to help out American factories. While this sounds super awesome, areas without a large number of factories did not see the benefit of this tariff. Some saw the Tariff of 1816 as sectional legislation. There was a concern that some of the policies of the American system would benefit industry over agriculture. People outside the
Why do you think we got into the secession crisis that led to the Civil War?
North felt like the tariff is going to hurt them. Here's how. Let's just say the cost for a factory in Britain to manufacture a t-shirt was $2.50. Because American industry is in its early stages of development, it cost an American factory $3 to manufacture the same type of product. Assuming the items are of similar quality, consumers in the US are clearly going to favor the British item because it is cheaper. What the Tariff of 1816 was intended to do was to help protect American manufacturing from this type of competition. Tariffs made imports more expensive as they put a tax on imported goods. So for instance, let's just say the US decides to charge a tax.
I feel like this should not be sped up and this should actually just be a whole-blown explanation, but yes.
Of $1 per imported good. The British made t-shirt now would cost $3.50 in the United States. I know, you are super impressed by my sick math skills. The idea behind the tariff was to encourage consumers to buy American goods since the tariff made foreign goods more expensive. As you can see with this tariff example, the American t-shirt is the better deal now. Clay believed the protective tariff would be key to developing American manufacturing and industry by protecting industry from British competition. Clay felt the U.S. should increase domestic manufacturing in order to promote economic prosperity. However,
I mean, also good, right? Hey, let's manufacture more stuff here. We make more money. We keep it in house. You know, we're doing good. That is a good line of thinking.
However, people outside the industrializing North are not too fond of this plan. They just want the cheapest product available. The Tariff of 1816 made manufactured goods more expensive. Now, Henry Clay would not have a book calling him the essential American if he did not have a plan to get support for the American system.
Under Jefferson, the Democrats were named the Democrat-Republican Party. Their opponents were the Whigs. So they were the Democrat-Republican Party under Jefferson. Why did I not know that? Okay, thank you for the context. I feel like an ass now. Thank you, Jersey James. I'll look that up. I'll have to look into why did I not know that?
In order to get members of Congress in the South and West to support the tariff, he proposed money from the tariff would be used to fund internal improvements to transportation, especially roads and canals. Transportation improvements generated a lot of enthusiasm. As you can see, it took a heck of a lot of time to get to places in the early 19th century. This had repercussions not only for trade, but also national defense. The idea behind transportation improvements was going from the North and East would be manufactured goods heading to markets in the South and West. Food and raw materials such as cotton would travel from the South and West to the North and East, and these internal improvements would increase trade amongst the different sections of the country. Clay and others felt this movement of goods would unite the country economically and politically by developing a national economy. While this sounds super wonderful, as we've seen with the tariff, the American system will generate a debate in the country. So who's debating? With the demise of the Federalists, there was only one political party, the Democratic Republicans. The Federal.
Yep, so I'm retarded. I'm sorry. I feel retarded. Now, why did I not know that? It's not even straight up something that I forgot. That is just a gap in my knowledge. I'm fucking wrong. I was just straight up wrong in my critique earlier. I was just wrong. Just straight up, I was wrong. Yep, I'll take my lashings for that one because I fucking deserve them. I did not realize they were called the Democratic Republicans, which would make sense, the Federalists, because, yeah. Oh, dude, there's so much history out there. It's so hard to remember. Like I said, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Why did I not know that? Answer: I am not as learned in history as I would like to be, or sometimes even present myself to be. But when provided with evidence, guess what? I say that I'm an idiot. I didn't know it. I retract previous mockery statements, all of that. Okay.
The Federalist Party put another nail in their political coffin by largely opposing the War of 1812, and some radical Federalists really messed up when during the war they participated in the Hartford Convention and discussed possibly leaving the Union over their objections to the War of 1812 and Democratic Republican policies. Following the election of 1816, the Federalists are going to be pretty much gone from national.
Well, yeah, there were a lot of people that were, well, because again, keep in mind, sentiments are real high. Well, we already left one country. Why can't we just do it again? That was just kind of a general sentiment for quite a long time.
Politics. Federalists got beat down in the election of 1816 and did not even nominate a presidential candidate for the election of 1820. And although this period of only one political party and increased nationalism will be called the era of good feelings, not everything is going to be all peachy just because there's only one political party. With only one national political party remaining, the Democratic Republican Party suffered internal debate and tension. Some members of the party stuck to the old party ideals of limited federal government and a strict interpretation of the Constitution. As I've discussed, many of the Democratic Republicans in the South opposed the tariff, which they felt favored industry and the northern sections of the country. Now keep in mind, Henry Clay at this time is also a Democratic Republican. The whole vibe of this party was state rights and emphasis on agriculture. But Clay and others in the party began to accept some of the Federalist ideas, such as support for the National Bank and trying to develop domestic manufacturing.
Yes.
But
and this is where you start to see the economics separations. Okay.
Other Democratic Republicans, such as President James Madison, felt the Constitution did not give the federal government the power to get involved in transportation improvements within the states. In 1817,
Yep, that because again, explicitly laid out in the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, which the 10th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America says, it would have been so badass if I would have just opened right up to it. It would have been great. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. And if you go through and you read the Constitution, you will see that nowhere in there does it say that the federal powers need to do road construction projects or anything like that. Those powers are relegated to the states to handle their own road constructions and their own. But what do I know? I just have the Constitution. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Also, Madison was G.
President Madison vetoed the bonus bill that would have used federal funds to build roads, bridges, and canals throughout the country.
So, interestingly enough, in history, almost since like right after the Constitution was ratified, people have been trying to usurp power and centralize government. Like, that's one. The Constitution has been violated since day one, damn near. And not because people were necessarily evil, but because people are necessarily wrong. And, well, I want to do this thing and be damned the rules. I also need to switch back over.
President Monroe also resisted federal funding on roads and canal construction. Both Madison and Monroe, M&M, stated the Constitution did not explicitly allow for federal spending on roads and canals and opposed federal funding for transportation improvements. As a result, during the Transportation Revolution, it would be the states that would take on most of the transportation projects. The most famous project being the Erie Canal, completed in 1825. As you can see, the improvements in transportation, such as the steamboat and the building of roads, canals, and eventually railroads, dramatically changed the amount of time it took to travel and the cost to transport goods and people. But in spite of the nationalism during this time period and the existence of only one political party, there still were debates about the American system and the role of the federal government, what is allowed under the Constitution, and a whole variety of other issues. In our next video, we're going to take a look at Jackson and federal power. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
That video should have been longer. I like that he's trying to do bite-sized history stuff. I did not know that the Democratic Party back then was the Democratic Republicans. Did not know that. The gap in my history knowledge, obviously. But yeah, no, and everything that he talked about here is what led up to the secession crisis, with the way that the economy was being handled and how we actually entered the Civil War and why states were wanting to secede, right? And it's because they felt that the federal government was favoring the northern manufacturing industry over the agricultural, and thusly they were not being accurately represented in Congress, right? You know, taxation without representation. Yeah, that was a thing that a lot of the original states believed. It was not over slavery. And it was like, the Civil War was over slavery. It was over slavery. You're just wrong. No, it's not. You can go read the secession documents of the states who wanted to secede. And I think out of the 9 original ones? Only 3 of them had even mentioned slavery. There were a few that mentioned slavery as part of why they wanted to secede. But the original states that tried to secede prior to the Civil War, that did not mention slavery at all. It was the rights of the states to govern themselves and the federal powers not taking over, and also not treating the southern states differently than they were treating the northern states. Like, you can go read the secession documents. You can see all this stuff. It's there. But people still spread the lie. The Civil War, it was over slavery. The Civil War was definitely because of slavery. No, it was not. It was not started because of slavery. That was literally a media news point used by the federal government in order to, I guess, get more people on their side. It's really, really interesting how you can pull this information up. You can go look at it. You can go read it. And nobody does. Well, I just don't have time. Well, what the fuck do you mean you don't have time? You're sitting here watching a half-drunk redneck talk about history on YouTube when, although it would definitely hurt my metrics, you know, and definitely hurt my watch time, you could go and read the secession documents that the states filed. They're available. But what do I know? But thank you for being here with me instead of reading the secession documents, so that way I could feel like that I'm being listened to. And for like the 4th time tonight, the chat's already heard this, but if you guys are watching the VOD, you should definitely leave a comment down below and join me on Monday nights and Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Central with the chat. Be cool like the chat instead of just watching it in a VOD. You could be here yelling at me, making fun of me, or telling me that I'm smart. Nobody tells me that I'm smart, but you could be like the first one. It's really funny. Sometimes people come in and they call me a pretty boy, and I'm just like, oh, because they think it's an insult. And I'm like, you just called me a pretty boy. I'm going to take that. I'm like, just the fact that you called me, that was funny. That's happened a few times. Anyway, chat, what say you? Oh, man. Welcome to being taught by a Christian brother for American history. There you go, man. Dude, no, but like I also, I will say this though, my favorite era of America, because there are eras, my favorite of American era of American history really gets around like the Industrial Revolution up through the Great Depression. So basically like early 1900s to like 1940s. That's like, I really like learning about that time period more so than anything else, because I feel like that's when the death of capitalism happened. What is it? The Aldrich-Verent Act? Gosh, I can never remember the name of that. It passed in 1908. It was a predecessor to the Federal Reserve, and all of that was caused by the financial crisis of 1907. That was actually when they centralized banking power. It was the Aldrich-Verent Act. I bet I still have it pulled up on my phone. I've never closed that tab because I always forget the name of it. But yeah, and then from there, you ended up the Federal Reserve Act, and believe it or not, the 16th Amendment to the Constitution, which is the federal income tax, were actually passed in the same year. One was passed in February, the other was passed in December. Then from there, you end up with fractional reserve banking, and then from there, in order to solidify the deal, they get rid of the gold standard. Well, that was later. They had to do a couple other things before they did try to fuck with that beforehand. But yeah, no, it's all just there's a lot, and a person can only know so much history. Republicans weren't founded until 1856. Yes. To answer your question, Thumbnail's question, yes, clearly raising the chair to make you angry. Well, why you gotta do that? Just look at California's founding. They wanted the ready-made farmland, and had it not been for the army who just came back from a war, they would have tried to form their own nation. Oh yeah, that's right. Because wasn't Spain over there? But Royce, reading it is hard, Royce. Don't. Reading is hard. I just read an amendment to the Constitution. Okay, you can also go read. Don't reading is hard, me. Oh. Goodness. Oh, goodness. That was a good, I don't know. I might have to watch more of his videos. He needs to get a handle on the gain on his microphone. That was ridiculous. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. We had some fun. We talked about a lot of fun things. I liked fun things. There are some things that got dropped in the Discord. I will do my best to get to those stories on Monday, because I am doing my best to work through all of the stuff that you guys send me, and also some of the stuff that I'm interested in as well. I'm also trying to stream for longer, but I just don't have the stamina anymore to go for like 3 or 4 hours at a time. I'm out of it lately. Just out of it lately, chat. You know what I think it was? It was back in the day when I was streaming for a long time. I had co-hosts. So when I had to go to the bathroom and stuff, I could just get up and leave. And I hate leaving to go to the bathroom and just do a chair stream. Feels terrible. Maybe I should get used to it. But I don't want to leave you guys while I'm just like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Also, I'm tired. And I should go to bed. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, goodness. I have to clip all these and come up with thumbnails now. Anybody want to, like, work for, like, super cheap? Like, if there's anybody out there who can guarantee me they can do thumbnails and titles that will just get blown up in the YouTube algorithm, I would absolutely give them, like, 20% of the revenue of the channel. If you know anybody who can do super good work at thumbnails and just help get these videos shared, and I don't have to worry about thumbnails and titles anymore, and like descriptions in the descriptions, or like this, if we could turn that, if they're just like, yeah, no, I know how to do that stuff, I'm just not good on camera, I'd be like, well, I mean, I'm okay on camera, but if we can make some money off of this, I'd give them 20-30% of what the channel made. I would absolutely do that. I would absolutely do that. But yeah. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into A Drink with Crazy. I'm tired. And as always, until next time, which is Monday, cheers, everybody.